To look back at the final as well as the season that was, we are joined by rugby royalty here on Sports Live, multiple winner of SA Rugby Player of the Year. The great Naas Botha joins us, and there he is. Good evening from us on SABC, Naas, and thank you for speaking to us tonight. I hope you're well, sir.
I'm very well, thank you. And what a great final we had. So it's nice to be on the show.
Yes, and talking about the final there, did the Lions, will they be kicking themselves after they failed to manage the game when they were leading 14-13, Naas?
Absolutely. The thing is, what surprised me a little bit in the first half was that both teams really had a number of opportunities to get points on the board, and they decided to go for touch, see if they could score tries. And I think if they might agree afterwards that both teams really defended well. So in finals, you're looking for points. They didn't do that in the first half. Then they decided in the second half, we need to find some points. Great try by the Sharks, and then a great try by the Lions, and then a second great try by the Lions. And, I thought, if you look at the last seconds, and I think somewhere somebody made a mistake, because all they had to do is to look at the clock. It was already time played. They won the line out. All they had to do, quick pass to the scrum half, kick the ball out, game over, and they would have won. What do? They make a mistake, and they gave away a penalty, and Hendrikse really kicked a fantastic penalty in the dying seconds. But it's one of those, the Lions had it, and they lost it. They seriously lost it because they made a fundamental error in the last dying seconds by making a wrong decision.
You make an interesting point about how they didn't go for points in the first half. It was scoreless at the break in this Currie Cup. Why do you think that is? Is it because of the obsession with playing running rugby? Was it because of the conditions?
I was there, it was extremely cold. They were very fortunate, not really too rainy, because but you could see during the first half and even the second half, the ball got a little bit slippery. The field got also a little bit slippery. So I'm going to put it in another way. Okay, they didn't take the penalties, but then they tried a couple of drop kicks. So I thought, okay, if you want to do it the right way. You get the penalty. Both teams really have good kickers in their side. And then just take the points. See, the thing is in a final, and that's the thing where people do make mistakes. It's about points. It's not a league game. You know as well as I do. League game is easy because next week's another opportunity. Currie Cup final, today was the final. That's it. You need the points on the board. And sometimes, if you go up 3-0, and then you go up 6-0, suddenly the opposition feel they need to score. So they start making bad decisions. And I was a little bit surprised. The guys did try a couple of drop kicks. But then I thought, okay, if you do that, why don't you just take the penalty? Because the penalties would have been successful. And, they could have had some score in the first half. But I must say the second half I thought was really good rugby. It was a nice game to watch. And I think really both teams tried. Both teams defended extremely well. And that's why I say the Lions, this game is going to be a nightmare that they're going to dream about for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And for the Sharks, what was key in this victory for them, Naas?
The key is they defended well. They created that first try. Really, they created a fantastic opportunity. And the thing is that they put really the pressure on the Lions. If you think about the first half, take the first half. They spent at least 60% of the time in the half of the Lions. And that's where you need to then compliment the Lions, because they kept them at bay. They kept them not scoring. And that's why I say maybe one or two penalties should have gone to goal. But, in finals, you make your decisions. Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're not. And at the end, that penalty, and it's a long-range penalty,
Yeah.
in conditions we had today,
Yeah.
that was an absolute magnificent kick by Hendrikse. Absolutely fantastic.
And overall, how was the season for you? I heard you speak to the media last week saying that there's still a place for the Currie Cup, and it showed this season here. What is the place of the Currie Cup in the South African rugby landscape?
I hope it will stay as it ended, because in the beginning, what we had is we had let's say, more experienced players in the Currie Cup, more youngsters playing, and that's why it was nice to see 4 great teams playing in the semi-finals. And then we had 2 great teams in the final. And that's where, and I said it today also, we have to compliment Saru, asking URC to move the opening rounds for the South African teams so we could have a good final, some of the better players. It's like, we had Trevor, Andre Estreisen in the final. And normally you won't see guys like that in the Currie Cup. And it was just nice to see a couple of the Springboks playing in the Currie Cup. We know the Springboks are playing later tonight. But it just gives you the feeling of both unions took this final extremely serious, and they got the better teams, the better players on the field. And that's what we as supporters want. What do we want to see? We want to see the best against the best. Why? In the final, you want the best team to win, and that's it. But you can only do it if it's the best against the best.
Talking about the best team in international rugby, as you've mentioned, is in action tonight in Argentina. We've beaten New Zealand and Australia so far in the Rugby Championship. What kind of a game are you expecting tonight, Naas?
It's an interesting one because Argentina started well against the All Blacks. I thought we had 2 fantastic wins against the All Blacks. Australia, I've got my question marks about them at the moment. They did have a good game this morning. They lost by 3 points, but let's be honest, if Mackenzie just played a little bit better at fly off, and I don't want to say he played badly, but they left at least 4 tries on the park. They could have easily scored 50 points this morning, the All Blacks. They didn't. They won by 3 points. But the Boks are doing extremely well. Rassie, he hates one thing, and that's losing. So you can imagine going in tonight after Argentina last week or 2 weeks ago really hit Australia with a 65er. So they will have the confidence. They play at home, but I would be extremely surprised if Rassie or the team think it's going to be an easy game. It's not going to be an easy game, but it should be, at the end, I believe, a good win for South Africa.
Okay, wonderful. And you've been great doing some talking and promoting the Currie Cup this season, Naas. It's been great to hear from you again, and always a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Really nice talking to you, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you. The great Naas Botha joining us here on Sports Live on SABC, looking back at the Currie Cup.